Yo, what's good, everybody? It's Austin here, or Luna. Hope you guys are having a wonderful night so far. I just got up. It's 9 p.m. again. I'm ashamed of myself. My sleep schedule is absolute ass, but I will fix it. I know me, and it will fix itself eventually. So bear with me on these late uploads. But yeah, today's story, it's a good one, okay? It's a classic Luna story, okay? It involves something I used to do a lot, and that's sneaking out. Now, obviously, don't be like young Luna. Sneaking out is not good, okay? But yeah, back in the day, I did that quite a bit because a lot of the times throughout my childhood and teenage years, I was grounded and I wasn't allowed to go out with my friends. So what I would do is I would wait till my mom was asleep or just busy with something, and I would open my window and I'd crawl out of it and I'd sneak out of my house and go do whatever. And this would lead to me getting even more grounded, and then I'd start sneaking out even more, and then I'd get grounded again, and then I'd sneak out again, and it was just a perpetual cycle of me sneaking out and me getting grounded. I never quite learned to just do the right thing. So yeah, the story time takes place back when I was 15. Pretty young, not gonna lie. Yeah, 15, I was definitely a shithead, okay? I was definitely a misbehaving little shithead teenager. And around this time, things were not going good for me. I know sometimes I start these stories and I'm like, oh yeah, around this time, things were going good. Things were not going good around this time. I remember around this time at 15, I was going through some shit. I was very stressed out. So around this time, I was already grounded. I was grounded for a month because me and my friend went to a party instead of going to the mall like we told our moms. So we were grounded for that. Both me and my friend both got grounded for a month. So I was still kind of serving my time for that. You know, I was about 2 weeks into it. So I was pretty stressed about that. I didn't have anything to do. My Xbox was gone. My phone was gone. Everything I had that, brought me fun at home pretty much was gone. So I was pretty stressed about that. On top of that, I was on the verge of getting grounded again because my grades in school were fucking terrible. I was failing literally everything, and my mom was freaking out at me at the time. Pretty much every day after school, my mom would yell at me and be like, do your homework, and then I wouldn't do it, and she'd get really mad at me, and once again, it was just a cycle of her, telling me to do something, me not doing it, and me getting in trouble. So that was pretty shitty. I knew that I was going to probably fail a lot of the classes that year and have to repeat a bunch of them, which was not good. And on top of that, I had rolled my ankle skateboarding this day when this takes place. I was skating earlier in the day just outside by myself in the street because that's like all I could do at my house that was fun, that wasn't taken from me. And I went to do a kickflip and I rolled my ankle. I failed and I landed sideways, and yeah, I rolled my ankle pretty bad and it hurt to walk. So I was in a very bad mood on this day when this story time takes place. So yeah, this all starts off as a normal day back at 15. Like I just said, a lot of things were going on in my life at the time that had me pretty pissed off. And yeah, I was just sitting in my room on this day. It was probably about 5 or 6 p.m., so I guess I should say evening. I was sitting in my room on this evening doing a whole lot of nothing. I literally had nothing to do in my room. I had no phone, no TV, no Xbox. That all got taken from me because I was grounded. I couldn't go out and skate because I rolled my ankle. So I was literally just sitting in my room on my bed reading a book because that's all I could do, right? Now, fast forward to later that night at about 10 p.m., my mom finally goes to bed, and I come up with a pretty devious plan. I'm like, you know what? My mom's asleep. I'm going to sneak out in the living room, and I'm going to jump on the family computer and message some friends of mine on Facebook because that's the only point of contact I had with them because I couldn't text them. So that's what I did. When my mom was asleep, I snuck out into the living room, jumped on the computer that I wasn't supposed to be on, logged on. I opened up Facebook, and I messaged one of my friends at the time. Now, this friend that I messaged, we'll just call him Tyler, okay? Tyler was one of my good friends at the time. Still friends with Tyler to this day. I hit him up, and I was like, yo, man, what's up? He's like, yo, what's up, dude? I thought you were grounded. And I was like, I am. I snuck onto my computer, and I'm just bored. I have nothing to do. I can't sleep. So I thought I'd just message some people on Facebook. And he's like, bet. Well, what are you up to tonight? And I was like, nothing, bro. I'm grounded. And then Tyler starts being a not so good influence. He goes, that never stopped you from having a little fun? And I was like, what do you mean, bro? He's like, well, me and some homies are going out tonight. You should come out. Keep in mind, guys, it's like almost 11 p.m. It probably was 11 p.m. It's a school night. We all have school the next day. And he's like, yeah, we're about to go out. So I responded. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what are y'all about to do? And he's claiming that him and 4 other people from my school are sneaking out at the same time, all meeting up at this park, down the street from my house, and then just walking around all night, just chilling. So I was like, okay, bet, I'm there. That's how much thought I gave it. I was like, this is probably a bad idea. Fuck it, I'm going. That's how stupid I was back then. So yeah, I told Tyler I'd meet them out, and he was stoked. And we all had plans to meet up about 30 minutes later at that park. I told him I'd see them there. He told me to meet them at the Red Slide. So I was like, all right, bet. And after that, I jumped off the computer, went into my room, and I started getting ready to sneak out. Now, I had pretty much the same routine every time I snuck out. I would pack a backpack full of, just anything I might need. So I brought my phone charger, some hoodies, and some clothes and stuff that I might need in case I ended up sleeping somewhere, which I didn't plan on doing. I planned on coming back home, but in case I needed them, I always brought them. I also brought some deodorant in case I got sweaty. You never know when you might end up doing something that's going to make you sweat. So I had deodorant with me because I don't want to smell bad. And then after that, it was time to do it. It was time to sneak out. So I walked over to my window. I quietly opened it. And as soon as I'm about to crawl out the window, guess what I hear? I hear footsteps coming down the hallway of my house. And I'm like, oh shit. So I go to close the window, and I do. I get the window closed, but it was too late. The door already opened, and somebody was standing behind me, looking at me with a backpack on, a hoodie on, my jeans on, my shoes on, and standing in front of my window. They knew what was about to happen, and all I thought to myself was, Austin, please turn around and let it be one of your brothers and not your mom. Please let it not be my mom. Because, if I turn around and I see my mom, I am so fucked. She is going to ground me for eternity. I am never getting out of it. And I turn around, and thankfully, it was my older brother. I had quite a few older brothers, but there was one in specific that was always up very late, and he was the one that opened the door and saw me. And I was like, hey, man. And he's like, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing at that window? And I was like, nothing. He's like, bro, don't lie to me. You're about to leave, aren't you? And I was like, yeah. He's like, where are you going? I'm like, just out with some friends. He's like, out with some friends? Who? Who are you linking up with? And I told him, and he knew some of them because they'd hang out at the house sometimes. And he was like, bro, where are y'all going? What are y'all doing? Give me the rundown here. And I told him, I was like, we're going to this park. We're all meeting up. We're just going to walk around, hang out for the night, and I'll come back. He's like, bro, I don't think I need to tell you why that's a stupid idea. And I was like, of course I know it's stupid, but I'm going to do it anyway. And he's like, all right, fine, fuck it. He's like, you know what? I'll keep my mouth shut, but you need to be safe. And I was like, okay, how do I be safe? He's like, take this. And he gives me his cell phone. He's like, take this with you. If you need to, you call the house and I'll come get you. But please, all I ask, don't go anywhere sketchy. No abandoned buildings, no sketchy neighborhoods, no sketchy areas. If any of your friends want to go to anywhere that's dangerous, you turn the fuck around, you walk home. I'm serious, bro. Stay in the neighborhood. Don't go somewhere that's horrible. Just stay in our town. And I was like, I will, bro. I promise. And he's like, all right, be safe. And I proceed to open the window, hop out that bitch, and I leave. I sneak out. And I have a phone now, which is kind of nice because I didn't have one before. And sneaking out without a phone is even more dangerous than just sneaking out. But yeah, I had a phone, and I proceeded to walk all the way to that park and meet my friends at the Red Slide, just like we had planned. And upon getting there, I'm not going to lie, it wasn't what I expected it to be. I thought I'd be meeting up with all my friends. It'd be really, really hype, really, really fun. And I ain't gonna lie, the first 30 to an hour of hanging out was fucking boring. We were just walking around the city, just bored as shit. Just up and down the sidewalks. Everything was closed. The only interesting thing we did the whole time was walk through a car wash that had the garage open. So we walked through the little self-serve car wash area. And then after that, about 30 minutes later, finally some interesting shit happened. So at this point, we're about an hour and a half into hanging out. We're walking down the sidewalk on one of these main roads, and we see this guy sitting at the bus stop at the sidewalk, just chilling, right? And we walk by him, and he stops us. He goes, hey. And we all turn and look at him, and he gets up, and he walks right up to me and my friend, and he goes, do you guys know who Jesus Christ is? And he looks right at me after he says that. And I was like, the guy from the Bible? Yeah, I know who that guy is. And he goes, really? You do? I was like, yeah, he's Jesus. Who else would it be? He goes, no, really, do you know who he is? And I was like, I am a little confused right now. And he goes, I'm Jesus. And I was like, huh? He goes, I'm Jesus Christ. To which I was like, oh, well, you look a lot different than the photos depict you. And all my friends start laughing. And he gets mad. He goes, don't mock me. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I was not trying to mock you. I was just making a harmless joke. I did not think that would offend you. I'm sorry. He goes, do not mock the Holy One. And I was like, oh, okay. And in my head, I'm thinking yo, this guy actually thinks he's Jesus. All right. I thought it was a bit, but okay, he actually thinks he's Jesus. So I didn't really know what to do at this point because it was just so awkward. So I tried to make small talk and get out of the conversation that we were currently having. And I was like, when's the bus getting here? And he goes, oh, I don't take the bus. I just sit here to preach Jesus to people and that I'm him. And I was like, oh, okay. So you have a car? He goes, yeah, it's right there. And he turns around and he points to a parking lot behind us. And there is a blacked out Escalade parked there. This dude had money. And honestly, that made sense because he was sitting at the bus stop, like in a very nice, like dressed up outfit. Like he had like almost a full suit on. He was very like spiffy looking, you know, real snazzy. He also had this like really nice gold watch. So yeah, I can't lie. When I saw him at the bus stop, I was surprised he was taking the bus. But then I learned he wasn't taking the bus and he was just there to tell people he was Jesus, that we're taking the bus. And let me just pause for a second. That's got to be so like annoying. Can you imagine like getting off like a fucking 12-hour shift or something and you don't have a car and you don't want to walk home? So you walk to the bus stop in the middle of the night to fucking take a bus to get home. And there's a guy there with a gold watch and a black Escalade and a full like beautiful outfit on. And he's like, yo, I'm Jesus. Bow to me. Okay, he didn't say bow to me, but it damn near seemed like he was gonna. Anyway, after I'm making small talk with this dude for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes, my homie Tyler tries to get me out of the situation. And he's like, hey man, it was nice meeting you, but we're gonna get going. All right, we're gonna keep walking. And this guy, I shit you not, looks at Tyler and goes, do not walk away from your Lord. I'm talking to you. And Tyler looks over at me and kind of gives me that look of like, yo, what the fuck's going on right now? And we decided to start walking away because we didn't know what else to do. It was just awkward. It was weird. We were all starting to get creeped out. And we start walking away. And as soon as we get like 6 feet away, probably almost 10 feet away, Tyler whispers in my ear and he's like, yo, I think that guy's like on drugs or something. Like he thinks he's Jesus. And I was like, I know, man. And all of a sudden we hear a yell from behind us from this guy at the bus stop. He yells, do not walk away from your Lord. You must believe. You must believe. And that's when me and my friends were like, all right, we're getting the fuck out of here. And we sped the fuck up real fast. We went from walking to damn near running. We fast walked all the way down to the end of the street, very far from this dude. And luckily he didn't follow us. I was hoping the whole time that I wouldn't turn around and see him following us. And luckily he didn't. So that was very good. So after we got far enough away from this dude, a nice safe distance, we all kind of like bursted out into like a bunch of emotions. I was very relieved because I thought, you know, that was kind of creepy. My other friend was laughing. He thought it was funny. My other friend was also relieved because it was creeping him out. But I think overall, everybody could agree in the group that we were just glad that we were away from that dude because clearly something was off. You know, I don't know what it was. Maybe he just genuinely believed he was holy. Maybe he was on something. Maybe he didn't sleep for 3 days and was seeing shit. I don't know, right? There could have been a million things to explain why that guy thought he was Jesus. He could have been joking. He could have just been pulling the greatest prank of all time. But I'll never know. And honestly, I don't care to know. Anyway, yeah, we got away from that dude and we went back to doing what we were doing before. Just walking around aimlessly, bored as shit. Yeah. That was the only entertainment we had so far, was that guy saying he was Jesus. That was the only entertainment we had so far. So, pretty boring night, can't lie. Well, about 30 minutes later, after more aimless walking around, the night got interesting again. And not interesting in a good way, because I looked down, because my brother's phone was vibrating, and I see my mom calling it. And I was like, oh shit. Now I have 2 choices here. I either ignore the call, and I just don't answer it, or 2, I answer the phone and I try and sound like my brother because she's calling my brother's phone. And I didn't know if that meant she knew that I had it or if she was actually just calling my brother thinking he had it. Now, believe it or not, me and my brother actually have very similar voices. So sounding like him is not hard. So I just answered it. I answered it and I tried to sound like him. And I can't believe it, but she was calling him. She didn't know I had his phone. Because when I said hello, the first thing she said was, what was that noise? And I was like, what noise? And she goes, in the kitchen. Is that you? Are you making food? So yeah, she must have gotten woken up from her sleep and heard someone in the kitchen, you know, cooking or doing something, you know, banging some pots and pans around or something, right? And she was calling to make sure that it wasn't, you know, someone random. And I asked her, I was like, oh, what'd you hear? And she's like, it just sounds like someone's out there cooking and usually you don't cook. I just want to make sure it's not Austin. So now the truth comes out. She didn't care that like there might be a home invader in the home. She just didn't want me up past my bedtime making food. So I lied and I was like, oh yeah, that was me. Me as in me pretending to be my brother, my older brother. I was like, yeah, that was me. And she goes, okay, cool. All right, well, good night. I was like, good night. And we hang up. And my homie looks over at me, Tyler, and he's like, was that your mom? And I was like, yeah. He goes, does she know that like you're sneaking out right now? And I was like, no, bro. She thought it was my brother. This is his phone. And he goes, what the fuck? Like, that's crazy. And I was like, I know. And after that, we just went back to walking around. Well, about 5 minutes later, the phone starts ringing again. And it's my mom again. Now this time, I answered it without any hesitation. Because I thought, oh, she's just going to think it's my brother again, right? And I answer it. And she goes, who is this? And I was like, oh, shit. I was like, what do you mean? It's me. And I said my brother's name. She goes, no, I don't think it is. Because I just got up to investigate who was cooking. And it wasn't you. It was my other brother. And then I went into your room and you were sleeping. And then I got curious and I went into Austin's room and he's gone. He's missing. He's just not in his room. So if I had to take a wild guess, I'm going to assume that I'm talking to Austin here because you're missing and your brother's asleep. And when I called the phone, it didn't ring from his room and he's asleep right now. So I'm going to guess that he gave you his phone. And I couldn't even say no. Like, I was completely fucking caught red-handed. I was literally missing from my house. The brother that gave me his phone and I was pretending to be is asleep and she saw him sleeping and was in the house with him. My other brother was cooking. So yeah, there was no excuse, no lie that was going to save my ass here, okay? Just nothing. So I admitted it. I was like, yeah, it's me. It's Austin. And she goes, yeah, no shit. And I was like, I'm sorry. And she goes, save your sorries. Get home now. And I was like, all right, I'll be home soon. She goes, where are you? And I was like, I'm just down the street. I'm just walking around with some friends. And she goes, okay, I'll be waiting. If you're not home in 20 minutes, I'm calling the cops. Now, guys, I was 30 minutes away from home. So I told her that. I was like, I'm not that close. I'll be there soon, though. And she goes, you just said you weren't far. And I was like, I know, but like, I'm 30 minutes away, not 20 minutes. So I don't want you to call the police on me right when I'm about to get home. And she goes, okay, you have 30 minutes then. Start running. And I was like, okay. So I hang up. I look over at all my friends. They're looking at me. I was like, I gotta go, guys. And they were like, did your mom catch you? I was like, yeah. And my homie Tyler was like, all right, man, good luck. So I turn around and I start running back home as fast as I possibly can. Because I can't lie, I was not in the mood to be getting police called on me this night. That just did not sound like a good time. That did not sound like something I wanted to deal with. So I was running as fast as I could back to my house before my mom picked up the phone and dialed 911. So I'm running, right? And I get about halfway through the run. I'm almost home. I'm about a mile away. And all of a sudden, as I go to turn down one of the main streets that connects to my neighborhood, behind me, I see red and blue lights reflecting off the street. And I thought, oh shit, a cop's driving by. So I turn around to see, like, what the cop was doing. And little did I know, the cop was not driving by. He was slowing down to stop me from running and ask me questions. Because he slowed down and he stopped right in front of me. And he rolls his window down. And he, like, turns off his sirens. And he goes, what are you doing, man? It's a school night. You look pretty young. You're running. What's going on? And I'm just sitting there in my head thinking, no fucking way this is happening right now. I was literally running home to avoid this very thing. And I just happened to encounter a cop on my way home that stops me. And I told the cop, I was like, look, man, I'm on my way home right now. I snuck out. My mom caught me. She said I have 30 minutes to be home or else she's calling the police. I'm trying to avoid getting in trouble with the cops. So I'm just trying to get home. And he goes, how old are you? I was like, I'm 15. He goes, damn, you are way too young to be out here. And I was like, I know. He goes, how far do you live? I was like, about a mile down the road over off this street. He goes, okay, get in. I'll give you a ride. And I was like, okay. So I jumped in the car and he drove me back to my mom's house. And when I pulled up, my mom was like in the kitchen window waiting for me, like watching. And she saw the cop car pull in the driveway. And the look on her face was fucking priceless because she like didn't want to call the police on me, obviously. But I ended up getting taken home in a fucking cop car anyway. And yeah, she comes outside as I'm getting out of the car. And she's like, oh my gosh, officer, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry to take him home. I didn't want to have to involve you guys, but it looks like you got involved anyway. And this cop's laughing. He's like, yeah, your son kind of told me, like, no big deal. I just wanted him home safely. I'm going to get going now. Good luck. And he gets in the car and he drives off. So that was nice. The cop didn't like make it a whole ordeal. He didn't like stand there and scold me and yell at me and, you know, make it a whole thing. He just kind of was like, I'm going to leave this up to the mom to do the parenting, right? So after the cop leaves, my mom brings me inside. She sits me down at the table and she proceeds to do exactly what I just said. She scolded me and kind of yelled at me and essentially told me I need to fucking knock it off and stop running away so much and that I'm in a shit ton of trouble. And honestly, it was all valid. She had every right to be upset with me. But then she said some shit that kind of concerned me. She told me if I ran away again, she was making me move out. And at first, I thought, okay, I'll just move in with my dad, right? I'll move with my dad. He's cool. She said, nah, you'll move in with your uncle. Look, man, my uncle was cool. Love the dude. Rest in peace. But living with him sounded like a fucking nightmare, okay? Really cool dude, but I would never want to live with him. He had like scary shit taped all over the walls from like horror movies and stuff. And at the time that creeped me out. Now I think it's really cool. But back then it freaked me out. He was a pretty strict dude as well. I knew if I lived with him, I'd be going to bed at like 8 p.m. every night. And yeah, it scared the fuck out of me. And honestly, it worked. I didn't sneak out for a very long time after this because I thought, oh shit, I don't want to have to move out of my house. But I'm not going to lie. I ended up sneaking out like 2 months later and I got caught again. That's kind of another story for another time. But she didn't make me leave. She didn't make me move out. So I guess she was bluffing. But yeah, anyway, let me get back to the current story. So yeah, she yelled at me, kind of gave me a whole rant about how I need to stop doing this or else I'm going to have to move out, move in with my uncle. And then after her rant was over, she told me to go the fuck to sleep. So I got up, I went in my room, fell asleep pretty fast. I was pretty tired. I woke up a few hours later because I had school and I went to school. And I actually saw all of my friends there that I snuck out with the night before at school that day. And I just kind of asked them what they did for the rest of the night. And they just kept walking around aimlessly and just kind of did a whole lot of nothing. So yeah, I guess I didn't really miss a whole lot. Anyway, after this, I kind of just, got through the rest of my grounding, which lasted a very long time. I can't even remember how long it was because of how long the grounding lasted. I think it was like at least 2 to 3 months. But yeah, all in all, just a pretty wild experience in my opinion. Snuck out of my house, got to meet Jesus apparently, and then I got caught by the cops sneaking out and had to go home and get yelled at. It wasn't fun. Which leads me to the moral of the story. Don't sneak out, okay? Just don't be like young me. Learn from my mistakes, do not repeat them. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the story time. And I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.